The Knicks are coming off a season that was bittersweet. On one hand, they had their best regular season in a long time, winning 50 games for the first time in over a decade. Jalen Brunson emerged as an MVP candidate, and the Knicks overcame brutal injuries thanks to several young players rising to the occasion. Even without Randle, the Knicks looked primed for a deep playoff run, beating the Sixers in 6 games in the first round and going up 2-0 against the Pacers in the second round. But the injuries became insurmountable as the Knicks lost to the Pacers in a tough 7 games. The Knicks have responded well from that stinging defeat by having a slam dunk of an offseason. Had the Knicks just brought back the same roster from last season, they would have easily been contenders. But Leon Rose and the Knicks front office knew they needed to make a big move to close the gap between them and the defending champion Boston Celtics. Well, they did just that when they traded for Mikal Bridges, a player who not only gives the Knicks a star talent, but is also a perfect fit with Brunson and Randle and Thibodeau's hard-nosed style of play. It's all coming together now. Knicks fans, a championship is coming to New York City, and this video will explain why. The biggest reason the Knicks are in position to win a title has been the emergence of Jalen Brunson. Just a couple of years ago, Brunson's contract with the Knicks was called a massive overpay. He proved the haters wrong by raising his game to an all-star level, and he got even better last season, averaging 29 points and 7 assists per game while leading the Knicks to the 2 seed. His incredible play made him a top MVP candidate where he finished 5th in MVP voting. But despite that incredible production, Brunson still had doubters. There's been a huge debate where fans and media asked whether Brunson is a true superstar.
But at the end of the day, they don't have a dude. You gotta have a dude. You gotta have a 1A dude. And they're missing that at the end of the day if we're just getting down to brass taxes. Sorry.
I didn't want to disagree with Becky today, but they do have that dude.
Who?
Jalen Brunson.
No, he's too small.
But here's the thing, and that's
Didn't they say about you?
But you know what?
They say that about you. You're a Hall of Famer.
I got a philosophy. Can I say my philosophy?
Go ahead.
If your best player is small, you're not winning.
Becky is right that Jalen lacks the size we typically see from superstars at only about 6'1", but at the end of the day, playoff defenses simply can't stop him. He was the second leading scorer amongst all players in the playoffs at 32 points per game. For the 3rd straight year, Brunson has torched the NBA's best defenses in the playoffs. Teams have tried everything to limit Brunson. He's seen just about every defensive scheme and coverage, and yet he still scores at high volume and high efficiency. And not only is he a great scorer, but he's an unselfish star that makes his teammates better with his passing. In my opinion, Brunson's body of work shows he could be a 1A on a championship team. He just needs the right players around him. Jalen Brunson's scoring and playmaking is a big threat for opposing teams, and a big threat to everyone's safety is data brokers. If you spend time online, your full name, email, home address, and even your health records is public information. This makes you vulnerable to data brokers who collect your information and sell it to anyone interested, possibly exposing you to unwanted ads, scammers, and hackers. This gives criminals the opportunities to hack into your social media, steal your identity, and even access and steal money from your bank accounts. I don't know if you heard about this, but X, formerly known as Twitter, leaked the email addresses of 200 million users. This is why More Hoops is sponsored by Aura. Aura alerts me when my data has been leaked and gives me fast fraud alerts if anyone tries to use my data or steal money from my bank accounts. And they remove my info from data broker websites so I get less spam. They also provide other safety features like transaction monitoring, antivirus software, and a password manager. If my info was part of the Twitter data leak, I wouldn't worry because Aura is doing all the hard work to keep me safe. I'm not leaving myself vulnerable to data leaks, and if you don't want to either, you can go to my link aura.com/morehoops down in the description and try your first 2 weeks for free. What's really held Brunson and the Knicks back the past 2 years has been Julius Randle not delivering in the playoffs. It's not enough to have a great number 1 option. You also need a great number 2, and Randle has been reliably unreliable come playoff time. Now, to be fair to Randle, he's been injured the past 2 playoffs, practically playing on one leg in the 2023 playoffs and missing all of last season's playoffs due to surgery on his shoulder. The injuries have been unfortunate, but when Randle is healthy and on the floor, he's a hell of a player. Randle made his third All-Star team last season with averages of 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. Randle is like a freight train driving to the basket, where his size, strength, and length tends to overwhelm defenders. The constant pressure he puts on the rim collapses defenses, and he's got a good eye for finding the open man. He also doesn't get enough credit for how good he is as a rebounder, which helps the Knicks to secure stops. If he continues to take the right approach with the bully ball, he could be the secondary scorer that Brunson needs in the playoffs. The Knicks front office made the team much better when they traded for Mikal Bridges. They couldn't have found a more perfect fit next to Randle and Brunson. Mikal should thrive while playing next to Randle and Brunson, thanks to his abilities as a shooter and cutter, but he's also got the ability to run the offense when needed. While in Brooklyn, Mikal really evolved as a scorer. He's great at creating his own shot, especially from the mid-range, where his high release point helps him shoot over the top of defenders easily. The Knicks can allow Mikal to run the second unit to take full advantage of his abilities as a scorer. With this new big three, the Knicks now have 3 players that can get hot and take over games at any given moment. And not only does Mikal unlock the Knicks offense, but he also is going to level up their defense. He's consistently been one of the best defenders in the league throughout his career. In fact, just 2 years ago, Mikal was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. His defense did drop off while he was in Brooklyn, but this is understandable because he had to become the Nets' #1 option on offense. With less of an offensive role on the Knicks, I would expect Mikal's defense to level up again, and this is going to be a deadly combination alongside OG Anunoby, who's also one of the best defenders in the league. Prior to acquiring OG, the Knicks defense was really slacking, ranking just 18th in defensive rating before the OG Anunoby trade. But from the time the Knicks acquired OG on December 30th to the end of the regular season, they ranked 3rd in the NBA in defensive rating. A big reason OG was able to transform the Knicks defense is because he's a lockdown defender, able to guard the opposing team's best player and hold them way below their regular production. He's also extremely versatile, able to guard 1 through 5. Not only will the Knicks have incredible perimeter defense, but their paint defense will be great as well. The Knicks did lose Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency, but they still have Mitchell Robinson, who's one of the NBA's best interior defenders. The Knicks will be a nightmare to score against. Between Mikal and OG, the Knicks have 2 lockdown defenders to guard your team's best player, and even if they do get by them, Mitchell Robinson will be waiting in the paint to block their shot. There's a strong argument to be made that the Knicks should be the best defensive team in the league next season. A big part of this team's success will also be the quality of their bench. The Mikal Bridges trade moves Dante DiVincenzo to the second unit, where he should be a great off-the-bench spark plug for the Knicks next season. For most of his career, Dante has been a 3-and-D player, but last year the injuries allowed him to show he had a lot more in his bag than many expected. Turns out, Dante has a great off-the-dribble game, able to take defenders all the way to the rim, where he also has an impressive layup package. He was also one of the best 3-point shooters in the game last season, where the only players that made in more threes than him were Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. Having Dante lighting it up off the bench next season will be a huge luxury to have. The Knicks will also have Josh Hart off the bench, who is an invaluable role player for them last season. I think of Hart like a Swiss Army knife because he does so many things on the court at a high level. He showed his true worth in the playoffs when the injuries piled up and he had to take on even more responsibility. While playing an insane 42 minutes a game, Hart averaged 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists per game over the Knicks' playoff run. His gritty play and no-quit attitude will continue to be a big part of the Knicks' success. Another overachiever for the Knicks last season was Deuce McBride. The third-year guard was in and out of the rotation his first couple of years in the league. Despite being a plus defender, his inability to score kept him glued to the bench. Last season, it finally came together. After shooting under 30% from deep his first 2 seasons, Deuce shot 41% from the outside last year. Not only did he improve as a shooter, but Deuce was making a lot more plays off the bounce, getting to the rim a lot more, and also scoring in the mid-range. Deuce's excellent two-way production is exactly what the Knicks need. A sneaky good pickup the Knicks made this offseason was Keita Bates-Diop. Recently, the Knicks threw in Shake Milton into the Mikal trade and got back Bates-Diop. He has really good size for a wing at 6'8" with a long 7'3" wingspan. He's a good defender, not just as an on-ball defender, but his size helps him to make an impact as a help defender. He's not a high usage player on offense, but he could thrive off the ball because he's an excellent cutter and strong finisher around the basket. He's probably no more than a 15 minutes a game guy off the bench, but considering how much OG gets hurt, it's smart to bring in another big wing that can defend. A young player that the Knicks are going to need to blossom next season is Jericho Sims. Going into a contract year, Sims' 4th year in the league is going to make or break him. The flashes have been there, but he's yet to earn a consistent role on the Knicks. The talent is definitely there. He's one of the most athletic bigs in the league, able to jump out the gym, which makes him a great lob target and finisher on offense, and on defense, he's able to provide resistance near the rim. With iHeart gone, the Knicks will need Sims to step up and provide great backup center minutes. This is a really good second unit, and Coach Tibbs will likely stagger the minutes of his big three to keep an elite scorer on the floor at all times. Few teams have a starting lineup that'll consistently outscore the other team's starting lineup, and a bench unit that'll outperform the other team's bench unit. Overall, this has been a fantastic offseason for the Knicks. They're easily the biggest threat to the Celtics returning to the finals in the East. Now that the Knicks have Mikal, the Knicks have two big wing defenders to put on Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Of course, Porzingis is a big reason the Celtics are so dominant, but he's incredibly injury prone, missing nearly the Celtics' entire playoff run last year. If KP isn't good to go come playoff time, that makes the Celtics a lot more vulnerable. With the moves the Knicks have made in free agency, they've put themselves in perfect position to finally break that 50-year title drought and bring home the championship to New York City. But now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the moves the Knicks made this offseason? Do you think they win the title next season? Let me see your thoughts down below in the comment section. Guys, I'm going to continue to talk Knicks along with other NBA teams all offseason long, so if that sounds like something that would interest you, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing rest of your day.